Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Martin with The Contoured Chemist. Today we're talking eyeshadow. So one of my most asked questions is kind of how to build a palette, and I've done that before, but this one we're gonna do more like neutrals. We're gonna stick with the neutrals today. I'm gonna still talk about choosing colors that will go together, but we're gonna start with the neutrals, and I'm gonna show you guys how you can use just those shades in multiple ways to kind of switch up your eye look on a daily basis. So if you want to check it out, please keep watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for being here. All right, friends, let's get into it. I've got all of my brushes. I even got new ones I just broke out of the packaging. So the new rose gold, if you can't tell from the pictures online, they're matte rose gold. So in comparison to the mascara branded that were shiny gold and rose gold, I don't know if you can see it on camera. These are straight matte rose gold. They're so pretty in person. Otherwise, the brushes are the same. The bristles are white, and I'm gonna show you guys the new brush cleaner. Did you guys see this? It's called the Brush Cleaning 10. You guys see me use this bad boy like all the time. Same exact thing, but now you can pop it in your compact. So in between colors, all you gotta do is kind of run the bristles over to switch colors. So I always called it a shadow switcher. They're calling it the brush cleaning tile. So you can keep this in your compact next to your eyeshadows. So cool. Or just, you know, on the side, whatever you want. I just switched over from my old mascara compact, and you guys, and I even added the Advent shades, which are coming into this bad boy. And you guys, I should have bought a bigger palette because it's full. You'll see you even have more room now. Looks like they redesigned it so they're not quite so tight. So that's fun too, right? So I've got one space. I thought when I counted, I was gonna have a little bit of room to grow, but obviously I counted wrong. So this is gonna be with all of the Advent shades in there as well. Super stoked to show you guys a neutral eye with just some basic shades. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on our first eye look. So when putting together an eyeshadow palette, I usually always stick to my little rule of kind of knowing what category each shade you have is, and then that will determine where to place it on the eye. So you guys have seen me talk about it before. Number one thing I always tell you to look for is a highlight shade. I tried kind of categorizing all of my new colors in here based on kind of how I would categorize each shade. So I have all of the highlights kind of in this area, and these are all gonna be shimmers. So you could use, Cupcake is probably our only one that's light enough that could be qualified as a highlight, depending on your skin tone. That is a matte shade, so that's why this guy is kind of over here. But then as we go over here, these are all our mattes, and we go from like light mattes to more mid-tone to deep. And then I've got more deep ones on the other side because it's not big enough. But number one category is gonna be picking out a highlight shade. So literally any of these colors qualifies as a highlight as long as it is light and usually shimmery. But if you like to stick with mattes, this will still give that pop. So this is a color we can do on the inside corner or under the brow. You can use it as a wash all over the lid. You can put it on more concentrated right on the top of the eye for it will catch light as you move as well. This is just a color if you have more mature eyes. You don't want to ever put it in your crease, okay? You want to keep it out of any areas that are really textured if that is an issue for you, which is why I feel like my go-to, if you do have more mature eyes and you're scared of shimmers, keep it right here on the inner tear duct, and then right under your brow. Don't go low on your brow, but just right under your brow. And that is gonna lift and brighten that inside corner and make your eyes look bigger. It's gonna catch light as you move. Even if you use this matte shade, it's still going to have that brightening effect. So I hope that makes sense. So choose your color. That's gonna be your color number 1. You guys know me. I usually always go with Sabrina. So Sabrina's my ride or die. Since we're doing a neutral eye, I'm gonna show you guys that. If you like cool tones, Unicorn will totally give you the most pop. If you love a little bit of pink, Soulmate is one of my favorites. That is also much more shimmery. It's like, it almost looks kind of, you can see the subtle pink, but it's almost kind of like reminds me of some of our illuminators like rose gold. It's got that a little bit of pink tone to it, but it still is brightening and it is still gonna give that shimmer. Okay, so shade number 1, we're keeping it simple. We're gonna go with Sabrina. Okay, since we're keeping it simple, we're keeping it neutral. I'm not even gonna go into that, what I consider light to medium matte shades. We're just gonna go straight into the midtones. So I always say, find a midtone for your skin color. Everybody's different. Like for me, Pup, which is some people can wear it as a midtone. This shade literally does not show up on my eyes. It doesn't give me enough depth. So you're looking for a shade darker than your natural skin tone, and that can be a mid-tone. And this one is going to be a matte shade because this is what we're gonna use to kind of contour out our eyes and give kind of a little bit of depth and dimension and make our eyes look bigger. So if you guys have seen my videos, you know my go-tos are usually kind of in this range. So this is Basic, Bubba, and Bird. You can tell. Basic is neutral, Bubba is a little bit warmer, and Bird is neutral again, but it's got, you see that? It's got a green undertone to it, okay? So it's a little bit more olive based, and it's a little bit darker, but I feel like you could totally use that as well. You just don't have to apply as much. And then Oak is the other one I use all the time. Oak, again, is neutral like this Basic one, but it's a little bit darker, kind of like Bird, but it is super neutral, okay? It's got a lot of ashy tones to it, not a whole lot of warmth. So I know Bubba scares people, but it's beautiful in the eyes. If you like warmth, get you Bubba. I promise you'll love it. We're not gonna scare anybody today. We're just gonna go as neutral as they come. We're gonna start with Basic, okay? I feel like she's a staple shade. Everybody needs a little Basic in their life. So I always get a lot of questions kind of like what is more of a mid-tone, what's not. And again, that is totally based on your skin tone, but you can go darker, you just apply much less if you're using it like a mid-tone where we place a mid-tone on the eye. So you guys will see I use Oak, which one's Oak? This Oak all the time. Do you see how it's pretty dark in comparison to some of these shades? But if I apply less of it, I can use it as mid-tone, and then I can easily build up that color for more depth where I want a darker tone and kind of use it as both. So some of these shades I feel like could totally be utilized as both. Like London, I sometimes build up that color and use it on my outer corner. Some of these are the Advent shades that are coming, so I don't want to show you guys those since you can't get them yet. But this one I would consider a deep dark shade, and the rest of them are a little bit more versatile. Like which ones? This is Zion for comparison. This is a couple of the new ones. So you'll see that they're a little bit deeper, a little bit darker. And then this is Lullaby. This is a good one that is also a mid-tone that's got a little bit more purple tones. But no matter the color you're choosing, you can wear whatever shades you're drawn to. If you like purples, Lullaby is an amazing one. Don't be scared of the undertone. You just want to look at the general tone, and then you can build your eye looks around that. Once you know that shade, okay, that one's a mid-tone, you're going to be able to use it anywhere I tell you put your mid-tone, and you can pick and choose the colors within the shades you have to build different eye looks. And having those neutrals are just gonna give you a lot more options when you're building those looks, because neutrals go with everything. You can mix and match, and you know that your shades are always gonna be cohesive. Okay, this one's my fun side. I feel like this one's just so pretty. It's just so pretty. I probably need to switch around some of these a little bit, but for the most part, what I was going for is my shimmers, okay? Obviously, we got some more saturated hues up here in the blues and the greens, but I mostly have my shimmers, and then I get into my deep dark shades here. Okay, so when picking out like a fun color for that what I call that number 3 color, that pop of color on the lid, or that fun shimmer, again, just go with whatever you're drawn to. I have literally probably used every single one of these shades on my lid at some point in time. And if it is a more bright saturated color, that's just kind of your cue to not really mix it with other tones if you're not comfortable with that, but stick with your neutrals, okay? So you can easily just use this palette that we're gonna build together and then just throw in a fun pop of color, or one that's kind of not neutral. Let's just call it not neutral, okay? So for my third shade, I usually will pick out a fun shimmer, and this can be anything from some pink tones on the lid. You can do a little bit darker, but these are more, I should probably switch these two. Okay, that makes more sense because I've got shimmers here, and then I was like, wait, those are deep dark. Yep, they need to go up here. So these kind of qualifies those deep dark shades in here, and then those are those more pinky tones. So I told you guys I was gonna be switching things around. So where was I? So whether you do a little pink or a little purple, or you like to stick with your neutrals, these are gonna give that light to the center of your eye or wherever you place them, right? So neutrals, I feel like all of these down here are very neutral. I even consider these purples neutral, but I know sometimes people are scared of purples. So let's see, this is an Advent shade. We got Stardust, Foxy, You Complete Me. Crush, I know doesn't look neutral, but on the eye, if you have blue eyes, this color is gold. So Bright Eyes is one of my favorites. It's more of that gold color. So pretty on hazel eyes. So let's start basic. Stardust. I feel like I just dug my finger. Stardust is probably the most versatile neutral shade. It is almost like a taupe shimmer. It's not stark on the eye. It literally just gives that glow, but it still has that color at the same time. So let's go with Stardust. Ooh, that almost fell out. Okay, so far we've got Sabrina, Basic, Stardust. Okay, so if you look at those tones, it's pretty light so far. So my fourth and final color is something I can add depth with, and something I can also use as a liner if I wanted to. So I tend to usually gravitate towards either warms or cools. So this is Kohl. I usually use that as my liner. You can tell it's just a touch darker and cooler than Trust, which Trust is my brow color. So if you like your brows deep and dark, then you can easily just use your brow color as this fourth color as well. And then we get into the more warmer tones like Philly and Coco, which I love as well. So if you're scared of warmth, steer clear of those. I usually like to keep a rule to like keep one warm tone within my palette. And since I have all cool tones so far, because both Stardust and Basic are pretty neutral, but they kind of tend to go to the cool side. Let's go with Coco. I feel like Coco is still deep enough that we could get a nice liner with it, but it's got that a touch of warmth, and I love that color. So I think it'll be really pretty. So you can use deep dark shimmers. I'll use Ken and some of these other amethyst and some of those shades all the time in the same way. They're just, some of these are gonna give a little bit more color, but they're still great as liner, even if they're shimmer colors. So, all right, shall we get started? Let's get started. I feel like I've talked long enough. So we've picked out our palette. let's swatch them so you guys can see. So we've got Sabrina. Sabrina is a champagne shimmer. Okay, it can be really light when swatched heavily or put heavily on the eye, or it can be really subtle when used as a wash all over. We got Basic, which is a matte mid-tone on me. Okay, you'll see how cool it is. It's pretty cool. It's got almost a little bit of purple tone to it. And then we've got Stardust, which Stardust is that taupe shimmer. Okay, a little bit of light there, still keeping it neutral. And Coco. So here's our touch of warmth, our deep dark shade. Okay, it's brown, but a warmer brown. It's got a touch of purple in it. Okay, I think those are so pretty together. Okay, so now we have a cohesive neutral palette. Let's do our first eye look. Okay, if you want to keep things literally as simple as you ever could, you could totally just use highlight on the eye if you need to kind of color correct and even out your skin tone. I already, for reference, used my eyeshadow primer, and then I used my color corrector. I did my face already, so I've color corrected with my highlights, and then I powdered on my eyes. So I've got a nice, I think I powdered on my eye. Did I powder my eyes? Let's do it real quick just in case. So you always want to kind of have a nice powdered base across your eye, so that way your eyeshadows will blend, because your eyeshadows will get stuck if it's just on a cream base. So the same goes with if you're just using a primer. I always powder over my primer. And if you have more aging eyelids or oily eyelids like I do, it's gonna help you so much. All right, so there we go. There's our entire palette. Sabrina, Basic, Stardust, Coco, and our little shadow switcher there. And let's get started. Very basics. Eyeshadow everything brush. This can do pretty much all of these looks, but I'll show you how I like to use some other brushes as well. Okay, I'm just gonna make sure I have off. I'm gonna move that down there so it doesn't move around. Once it's magnetized, it won't move around. So cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I don't have any residual color on my brush, and I'm just gonna use that small end. Okay, my eyelids have been evened out. I am just going to go in with Sabrina on my inner corner. See that pop? Okay, I'm just bringing a little bit of light to that area, and then I'm gonna go to the highest point of my brow, and then I'm gonna blend it out so it's not so stark, okay? If I wanna just run out the door, do my 5-minute hack, I'm gonna literally leave it at that. So highlight, a little bit of light to your eyes, and it's going to, like I said before, lift your brows and brighten up your eyes, and it's gonna make you look like you've gotten more sleep, because I haven't gotten a lot of sleep this week, so I need that. All right, so there you go. Now, 9 times out of 10, I will at least throw color into my crease. And because my eyes are lighter than the rest of my face, I'm a self-tanner girl, you guys know that, and I obviously don't tan my eyelids. I feel like my eyes almost look washed out, and I lose them because I've got small eyes. So in order to kind of contour out my eyes and make them appear larger, I'm gonna go to that mid-tone matte, okay? So you want to keep your crease matte. I never recommend, if you have hooded or aging eyelids, putting a shimmer into your crease, because when shimmers reflect light, it just will make your eyelids look more textured anywhere you have shimmer, which is why a lot of mature eyes don't like shimmer, and they're scared of shimmer. They think it's gonna make their eyes look more aged, but it's all about strategically placing the color, the shimmer, exactly where it's not going to increase the look of texture. So these two places are never going to look textured, so you're completely safe there. I am just going to pick up a little bit of Basic, and I'm going to open up my eye, okay, so that I can see where I need to start, okay? And I want to bring that color up over the eyelid. Okay, then you can kind of close your eyes if you want. but this is just simply a quick windshield wiper motion back and forth to blend. Okay, so I've already got a little bit of definition, and then I'm gonna slowly build up color because I don't wanna touch one area with too much color because then it's gonna be harder to blend out. So if you slowly add color, it will blend so much easier. I get a lot of questions about how far in to go, and this is completely dependent upon your eyes. You'll see that I normally kind of stop right here and I let the rest kind of naturally blend in, but you don't ever see me applying color directly right there. I'll always start where I have naturally the most depth. So if somebody's looking at you straight on, where are you naturally darker? It's just like with contour. You naturally have more shadow back here. You naturally want to have a little bit more depth on this outer corner, which is why we normally put extra color there. Okay, so you want to have more depth here, and then I'm going to slowly kind of blend it inwards so I don't have any harsh stopping point, but I don't want darkness in the inside corners of my eye, because what does that do? That closes off your eye. And if you do have smaller eyes like me, it's just going to make your eyes look smaller, and it's not going to like open them, which is the main purpose of this eyeshadow technique, is to kind of make them look larger. Now, I always recommend having two brushes, and if you don't, grab that shadow switcher, brush cleaning tile, remove the excess. Okay, this does not clean per se, like I'm dropping stuff, like a brush cleaner. It's not actually sanitizing or anything like that. It is simply to switch colors in between, or to get off that residual powder, so that when you go into blend, you're not going to muddy up your colors. You're not going to be mixing. You are literally going to just be blending out. Okay. And I always recommend blending with a clean brush. So if you have any harsh edges, get your brush clean and then blend to your heart's desire, right? So till you are happy with it. So I feel like that is a very subtle, but can you tell the difference, right? So I have a little bit of definition. I've got a little bit of shadow. I feel like my lower eye looks real tiny still. So you guys will see I always halo. So I get questions all the time about what is haloing. So look number two looks so far. You can brighten the inside corner of Sabrina. Number two, brighten and add a little bit of color in your crease. Look number three is bring that color down below underneath your eye. So I'm going to switch back over to the small end of the eyeshadow brush, and I'm simply going to halo, which is what it's called when you add I like to do a mid-tone. You can go darker, but I like to do a mid-tone so that it isn't too harsh. It just is giving a subtle definition to the bottom of my eye. Do you see how much larger my eyes look? Which is why you'll never see me do any eye looks without haloing. I always bring that color and just bring it down until you're happy, and then kind of blend out so it's not too harsh. Now, if you're feeling like even the smallest amount of your color is making that look super harsh, your color's too dark. Go down one color in a matte shade, a little bit of a lighter tone, or apply much less, so you just have a little bit of depth, okay, a little bit of definition without lining your eyes, which I swear when I started doing this, I looked 10 years younger when I didn't put a heavy liner underneath my eyes, but I just started simply haloing, okay? Can you see the difference in that? Hopefully you guys can see, okay? So obviously this is a look as well, just to go natural, but this has got a little bit of definition. It looks a little bit more finished. So yeah, okay. Look number 4. We are still going to use the eyeshadow everything brush, and this can be 2 different things, okay? 2 colors here, okay? Either Sabrina or Stardust, and you can wash that on the lid. So let's do let's just do Sabrina on this side, and I'll show you guys the other side. So a little bit of Sabrina, and this is a wash. So simply taking the smallest amount of color and just going all over the lid. Okay, can you tell a difference? Like I am simply, it's a very natural brightening to the lid, and it's gonna catch the light as you move. Okay, this is one of my like go-to everyday looks, is just throwing on Sabrina on the lid, a little bit of color in my crease, and then brightening the upper or the brow and the inner corner, and it looks amazing. The other thing you can do, we're gonna go back to the other side. We're gonna go to the other side this time. So that was look number 4. Okay, we're gonna switch it up a little bit, and we're gonna switch up the order. So you'll see I usually like to add a color in my crease first because it gives that kind of definition, but I'm gonna show you if you kind of do it the opposite. So the other color that would be really great on the lid is Stardust, right? So first you can do a wash, okay, just like we did over there. And this color can be put on as heavy or as light as you want. So I'm still doing the windshield wiper just all over the lid. Do you see how subtle that color is? I don't know if you guys can even see it on camera because it is super subtle, okay? I'm keeping it out of my crease. I'm just going right on up to my crease. So that's another look. Simple, one color all over. Now, if it is a shimmer and not a matte, you could do the exact same thing with basic and go all over the lid and then go up a little bit to kind of show that color, because it's a matte and it's not going to increase texture here. Since this one is a shimmer, I'm not going to bring it up above. So you can tell I have hooded eyes. So when I open up my eyes, you can barely see the color. Okay, so that's what it means if your eyes are hooded. Like you have very little, like when your eyes are open, you don't see your lid very much. If you're wanting to just use one shade all over and bring it up so that you can see it, I would say stick with one of those matte colors. And this is the ones that are really good for that light to medium matte shades. And you could totally just do one wash all over the lid. Okay, since this is a shimmer, I don't want to get into my crease and really emphasize texture there. So I'm going to go back in with my basic, and then I'm going to just run it right inside the crease. Okay, so sometimes you'll see I do my shimmer first and then I go in with my crease. And what that does is it kind of blurs that line where you applied your shimmer, right? So if you get it kind of wonky, this will kind of blend it out, add that depth, and then you can kind of slowly start building up the color and going up higher until you can see it, right? So I feel like I can see that now, but do you see how I'm kind of like, I have no depth right here? Okay, so my general rule, you've probably seen me do this before, nose to the corner of the eye to where your brow stops, and that's kind of that imaginary line, okay, right there, where you can kind of make your eyeshadow. So sometimes I'll just straight up draw a line like that, and then I'll flip it around, and then I'll kind of just blend within that point, okay? If you do your eyes first, you can totally just pick up your highlight brush and clean it up, because the creams will clean up your eyes. If you wear Demi, I don't recommend that. You can't really clean up your eyes with Demi because it's not like traditional foundation. So just a heads up, do your eyes first, and then you can just use a makeup wipe and clean it up if you need to, and then you can do your face. So that one is with Stardust, really lightly, okay? Can you tell how, so these colors are pretty close to each other, even though this one's, you know, a little bit more neutral and this one's a shimmer. You can tell it doesn't have a lot of definition between the colors because they're not far enough apart. So if you want more definition, more of that contrast, then you want to pick out a color not so close. So with neutrals, so they're going to be pretty close. I would really love to I like to use Stardust with a little bit of a warmer shade, if I'm just gonna do this look, I wouldn't pick basic. I would pick something a little bit warmer like Bubba, or I would use basic with a little bit warmer of a lid shade. So if you like to keep it neutral, but kind of play with the warmth, and you can still get a very neutral look, but a little bit more of that contrast. Okay, so I'm going to hit the bottom again so that I'm even. Now, say you want more of a pop on your lid. Okay, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can use Stay Spray, you can use a glitter primer, you can pretty much do whatever you want, but a little bit of either the Multitasker, which will pick up more products, so I'll show you that first. I'm gonna go into Stardust and I'm going to press it on. Instead of doing a wash, I'm going to press it on all over the lid. You see how much more of that color? I don't know if it's translating to camera. Okay, suddenly my lid is darker and you can actually see much more of that shimmer. Okay, so that is just with the Multitasker using a brush that's not quite so fluffy doing a wash. This is pressing on, you're gonna get more pigmentation, more color payoff. Another option is wetting a brush and just going to the corner of your 10. Okay, and then pressing it on. Can you see how much darker that got? I should have picked a color that you'd be able to see more. Can you see that? Okay, so a wet brush is going to give even more color payoff. All right, the same goes with Sabrina. So you can totally go back over here. And another way I like to do it is using my finger. I feel like something about your finger really picks up product differently because, again, it's like the Multitasker. It's like pressing it on. So if we go into Sabrina, and so this was really subtle. It was a wash. Now I'm just going to touch the top of my lid right where the ball of my eye is, and you see how much brighter that got. Okay, so it's just going to pick up a little bit more light, and then you can kind of blend it out and see how bright that is. Okay, so those are, I've lost count of how many different looks, and that was with 3 colors. So you can wash it over the lid, try that highlight or any light to medium shimmer, and anywhere on your lid. Pretty much all of these 3 shades here, you can use all over your lid as much as you want because they're not too dark to close off your eye. If you are using one and you feel like your eyes just suddenly get smaller, it's because it's too dark. Go a little bit lighter or apply it a little bit less heavy. If you really just kind of wash it over the lid, then usually you can kind of control the color. It's not going to be quite so deep. You're not going to build up that pigment. Okay, so let's go into another shade. Let's go into, let's see, on this side, since I've already got a whole lot of depth, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add more depth to the outer corner. Okay, so this one's already pretty dark. This one's a little bit more natural so far. So I'm going to show you how I would finish that side. All right, so I'm going to go in with the smudge brush this time. The dome end is my favorite for the outer corner, but you can totally use this brush. It's just smaller, so it's got a smaller application, and then you'd have to blend it a little bit more. But this one, I feel like just applies and blends at the same time and fits my eye just right. It's a little bit bigger, so it does the job a little bit faster. So I'm gonna go in with Coco, and then I'm literally gonna touch that outer corner, and I'm just gonna start kind of pouncing my brush, and I'm gonna go in a little bit of a V formation along that corner of my eye. And this one, I'm gonna go kind of into my crease. Look at how pretty that is. That was like 2 seconds. You can then flip over your brush and just make sure you don't have any harsh lines. Like, I love this brush. It's so good. So suddenly I have a whole lot of depth and dimension, and I feel like I'm done. I'm done with that eye. So you can easily even bring that color up a little bit higher if you want. Okay. Kind of depends on your eye shape. Everybody's eyes are completely different. And then what I always like to do is I also like to always bring it down and kind of connect on that outer corner. Okay, so I don't have any gap right there. Okay, and you can bring this, like, so if I was doing a nighttime eye, I would probably line my eyes and then I would bring this probably all the way mid-tone. Got mid-tone on the brain, mid to the center of my eye, like, yeah, I don't know, like a third to a half, and kind of, you know, blur that out. So I'm gonna get more drama on that lower lash line. But for the day, I feel like this is plenty of drama for me. Let's do the other side, and we're gonna use that deep dark shade as a liner. And I do this one all the time as well. You can do it you can do it two different ways, so get two different looks. You can either use the line brush. This is the new one. I haven't even used it yet. Can you tell how clean it is? And really get a precise line, or you can do the small end of the eyeshadow brush and get more of a smudged line. So I feel like for daytime, I tend to kind of just like the lived in look sometimes. So I'm going to show you, actually, I could probably show you both ways. Brush that I've already used a lot. So if you want a precise line, press that color right along the lash line. Okay, suddenly my eyes have definition, my lashes look thicker. For a smudgy look, you just kind of want to, this one's easy because it takes 2 seconds. Haphazardly throw it on there and then blend. Okay, it gives more of that dimension to your eye without being so precise. Makes it quick, and you don't have to worry about your eyeliner moving during the day. It's simply a powder, and then again, kind of connect it a touch on the bottom. I love that because I feel like it makes my lashes look 10 times thicker, and you guys know me. I'm into the thick lash. Like, I want my lashes to look thicker. Probably because they're naturally not thick. All right, guys, so I think that'll get you started with simply 4 colors and putting together a look. I hope that helped. I'm gonna take pictures. I'm gonna share my graphic of how I categorize the shades that we have now so that you can put together your own neutral eye or play with it, have a little fun with it, and add a pop of color. If you need help with eyeshadows or a color match or anything like that, my match request is in the link below, as well as my email. I'd be happy to help you out. And as always, thanks for watching. Love you guys.